Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Skeptics to Seekers Exploring the Edges of Wellness podcast. I'm Leandra Jackson.
And Heather Bergen.
All right, we are going to be diving into from disempowerment to divine alignment, reclaiming your inner healer. What does that mean?
So,
it means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think so often, and we are conditioned from a young age to start giving our power away and looking outside ourselves for the answers, whether it's healing or what's going on. We're never taught to really check in with what we think in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, looking outside for that information.
Exactly. Exploring like how our wellness beliefs, how, exploring what we grew up knowing, maybe what our parents taught us or grandparents. And it seems like every generation has a little bit different aspect of that healing. But we're so like accustomed to believing that if somebody can tell us what's wrong with us, then they can fix us too.
Right. And so we're giving away that intuitive knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just remembering a time when I was a kiddo, and certain foods I really didn't like. Right. And I would be like, I don't want to eat that. I don't like that. And then as I get older, I discover maybe I have a sensitivity to that food.
Oh, yeah.
But, when you're a kiddo and your parents are just like, you need to eat what you've been given,
Right.
And it's like you're already shutting down that part of you that's just like, I don't think this is
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we didn't do our little grounding set. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, let's take a note.
Okay. Well, I have a Balance essential oil. It's a really wonderful blend. And
there we
top
go.
of that, take some deep breaths with us.
Oh my goodness. We'll do 3 breaths. So 2.
Just grounding ourselves to the earth, allowing.
There we go. Yeah, that was awesome. You can always just take the 3 deep breaths. You don't have to have an oil.
Right. If you do, it's nice.
It's always fun. If you're never knowing what to do with your oils. If you've collected a lot of oils like some people. Yeah.
Guilty.
And just find one. You know what, that just reminds me of that intuitive knowing when maybe you have that selection of oils and you're like, what oil do I want to just breathe in this morning? And you can just grab one and you don't have to think about what this oil does or how this oil works or whatever. It's like, what if you just let yourself just grab the oil?
It's the one that you're attracted
to. And the one you're attracted to without thinking or knowing, this is a grounding oil. This is an energizing oil. This, this oil heals this part of my body. Like, what if you just grabbed it and went with it? And didn't question.
Yeah, exactly. Like a sensory journey. Just smell a couple of them, and the one that you're attracted to the most is what you need.
Right.
So yeah, definitely having that, trust in your body and what it's asking for. So we have, there's like illness versus the wellness narrative.
Right. So often we're taught to take care of ourselves, to have something wrong with us.
Right.
And then we go to the doctor to have them fix us. Versus, a lot of places are like, well, if you're okay, then you're fine. But now we're looking at wanting to be more than just okay. Right. We want to be well. We want to be healthy. We want to pursue that optimal health.
Right.
And almost like be looking outside for help versus starting to look inside and trust your own inner knowing and guidance in your healing process.
Exactly. And how many times have you gone to the doctor for something you think that needs that attention and they pretty much just tell you to go home and rest and just, lots of fluids.
Hmm.
So, and you probably even felt it inside like, do I really need to go to the doctor? Is this really something that serious that I need to get addressed by a physician? Which we all need that medicine. I mean, it saved my life before. So
Yes.
I'm not saying anything about that. And, it helped me have my babies and all that. But when we have those times where we can listen to ourselves and don't give that power away, it's so important.
Right. I mean, a quick example is just like this eczema that I've been experiencing forever and
Mhm.
ever and ever. And I've been seeing the dermatologist for 10
Wow.
It's been 10 years. And, they're like, well, we're not going to biopsy it unless you want to go on a immune
Mm.
suppressant drug. And I'm like, I don't want to go on an
Yeah,
immune suppressant
that's
drug.
intense.
So I've just tried creams and lotions and potions and whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and then um, I did discover a cream on Instagram, ironically,
Right.
and it has really helped. And then as I dove in and looked at more information, the intuitive part of me said, try this cream. And then as I dove in and looked into the more information, I discovered that the things in the cream, which specifically in this one was estrogen, and then all the benefits there were to the estrogen, including decreasing insulin sensitivity, which I
Oh,
have,
nice.
and also like decreasing your immune response,
Mhm.
decreasing inflammation.
That's awesome,
I
and
didn't know that.
that's amazing, and that just goes to show how much our body absorbs too.
Oh yeah,
Like, it
through your
absorbs
skin
so
is a
much.
way to don't
Yeah.
think what you're putting on your skin isn't
Doesn't
affecting
count
your
because it
body.
does. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And, there's the subtle ways that we condition to outsource authority, like, even to our own bodies. Like you said,
Well,
like, we
I was
outsource it
outsourcing and
for all those
trying
years.
to get someone to help me fix this issue.
Exactly.
Hello.
When you finally found something that works. And yes, sometimes it takes trial and error, and that's just how it is because we're all individual.
True.
We can't really go off of maybe what somebody else says. So we do have to try these other things. But that is the beauty of finding your individualization and, being authentic to yourself as
Mhm.
well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So then what do we have? The subtle ways, that we condition ourselves. I feel like the older generations too, like my parents or my grandparents, they were so like, I'm only going to do what the doctor says. When
Right.
I started my massage practice, 18 years ago, there were so many people like, I only do what my doctor says, and then, they told me to come get massage. So this is it. This is all I'm gonna do. You're not going to take any recommendations because you don't have that
Authority.
doctor.
Authority.
Yeah, you don't have that doctor title.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, and the doctors can learn a lot. Obviously, they go to
absolutely.
med school. They have learned a lot, but they have not learned everything.
Right. Not more on the alternative side. There are some that do, which is great.
Hmm.
But that's where you have to have that intuition. Know who your wellness team is.
Right. And then again, there are influences. This was one of my biggest aha moments was your doctor's running a business.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Your doctor is running a business and healing you does not make them more money necessarily.
Yeah, true, true.
Having those regular visits, those regular checkups, that's where they are. So they have an incentive to keep you coming back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're wrong, and I'm not even saying they all of the doctors are even
Right,
aware
right.
of that.
I would say that the majority of people getting into the wellness field are doing it to help people.
Hmm.
But like we said, you get conditioned, especially over time. And when we start questioning that dominant wellness narrative, is when we can start taking back that
Yeah.
we can be more productive, and we can start shifting how our wellness is going to look to us individually.
You know.
So,
And I just, there's one thing where it says right here, like, what if my body already knows what it needs? And honestly, I know people are like, oh, don't go to Dr. Google, don't go to AI. But you know what? Sometimes you're asking that question and you are Googling it and you are putting it into AI, and it is giving you maybe like the next question to ask or some insight before you go to the doctor, so that you kind of do know what you're asking for or what you need when you go there. And if they are going to poo poo that or not buy into it or tell you, you're wrong, maybe you are wrong, but maybe you're not. And maybe you have now asked the right question.
Right. You've ruled things out, or you've been able to narrow things down. And that if you have a care team that is saying, no, you're wrong, then, look for the answers. Or I find it frustrating when I have clients that, want to take certain supplements, that I can offer them. And then they'll go and talk to their physician and they say, no, you shouldn't take that. You shouldn't take any vitamins, is what they'll say. Don't take any supplements. And it's like, how are you supposed to fill in the gaps to your wellness if you're not going to supplement? Like my kid today was like, why do I got to take the vitamins? And I said, well, you're taking omegas because you don't eat enough fish.
Right.
You're taking because you don't eat enough seeds and nuts and things like that to get the omegas. And you need to fill in the gaps. He's like, oh, okay.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah. There are just a lot of things out there now. And our food system is diluted. It's not like the foods have the vitamins and minerals that they used to have. Excuse me. They're just, the soil is depleted. The foods do not have the vitamins and minerals they used to have. And so sometimes we do need to supplement with, especially extra things, something like magnesium or something like that we're just not getting in our regular diet.
Exactly. And a lot of us are on the SAD diet.
How many of us are truly eating
as clean as possible?
Healthy, nutrient-rich, organic foods all the time.
Right.
I mean, I try and I don't. I mean, I am aware.
Right, me too. But yet, it's not always going to be super
not always
clean.
possible.
And I eat pretty healthy, but I still love to take my supplements because it helps with my energy levels. It helps me feel better. It helps my joints. Because I have arthritis and I have degenerative disc disease from old injuries and military service. And so if the body is not at 100%, you can help it be closer to that. Yeah. And you were mentioning that, is wellness more than compliance and metrics? And what does that mean to
you? Exactly. Like, we all want to measure everything and measure our food, measure our exercise. We all now have watches or rings or whatever that just help us keep track of whatever we're doing. But yet sometimes it is just that listening to your body.
Exactly.
And not just following the rules.
Yes, I agree. And this spark of curiosity ripples outward. As more people awaken to intuitive, relational, and holistic healing, a new story emerges.
Yeah.
So one rooted in self-trust, trusting ourselves,
and
the lived experience.
Nope, I'm good. Like lived experience and sharing that. So we're talking we're talking now, like not just living it, but sharing it with others so that they know that there are alternative paths and it's not just following what your doctor says. I mean, again, I don't want to totally be bashing traditional medicine, but
it can be drastically overused.
Yes. And we're talking here, we were going to talk about giving your power away and how to call it back. And for that, I like to give the example of this hip pain that I had for years, for like 5 years. And I would just go into the physical therapist once or twice a week, maybe even once or twice a month. But I never went like more than 2 weeks without going in there for them to help me fix my hip. They gave me exercises. We tried different exercises. We tried strengthening, we tried stretching, we tried all these different things. And it kind of made it a little better, but it never went away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into more alternative practices. I got into yoga. I got into tremoring. I got into just following my intuition and trying different things. And through those alternative methods, I no longer have pain.
Mm-hmm. And that's amazing how the like the movement, the somatic work, the understanding the body can makes a huge difference to be aware.
Yeah, and
So
I
many
think
people
we're
are not aware of
so
themselves.
not aware.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been working on being more aware of being in my body, and it's been a years long
Mm-hmm.
process, right? And yeah, I'm just wondering what
Absolutely.
if I was somebody that just ignored that and was like, I just have pain.
Well, yeah,
A
I
lot
have
of
had
people accept that
exactly.
too.
I've had so many clients over the years that come in and have gone to doctor after doctor and practitioner after practitioner trying to find the solution to something that they're dealing with when a lot of times it might be soft tissue. So if I'm able to help with that soft tissue issue and it, you know, creates this healing for them, this facilitation, um, then then they don't have to deal with this issue anymore. And so 85% of the time I'd say, well, what do you think it is? And they'll talk about something that's going on in their body, what they innately think it is, but still don't want to trust that intuition
Mhm.
and still go to doctor after doctor. It's like to get that
You
confirmation.
want like that validation.
Yeah, to get
Like
validated.
we can't validate ourselves.
Right.
Like we want that validation from outside sources.
Exactly. It's like
sometimes.
we're waiting for permission. We're deferring to experts. We're ignoring our inner knowing. And
Mhm.
of course, you want to, ask questions. Find your good wellness team. But it's really in touch with yourself. And some people don't necessarily have that, but that's why it's important to get that wellness team that can guide you to
Right.
that facilitation.
Well, and I mean, honestly, that brings me to part of what I do, right?
Yeah.
It is helping people begin to connect with their inner knowing, to understand how they make decisions, to understand how to check into your body.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember somebody once told me they went, I'm going to do intuitive eating. And I'm like, there's a lot that goes into it. Intuitive eating, including really being in touch with your body, not just like what your head says you
Or
want
craving, yeah.
or your craving, which is how our diet in American standard American diet is created to make you crave more foods that aren't necessarily healthy for you.
Right. Sugar.
So
carbs.
if you're like, I intuitively think I need ice cream, have you cut sugar out of your diet?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you've totally cut sugar out of your diet and you really don't eat it at all, and then out of the blue you have a craving for ice cream, sure, maybe that
Right.
is the right thing. But if you are still eating a lot of sugar and carbs every day, you're not in
That
touch with what your
intuition
body
might
is
not be
really
the
telling
right
you.
intuition. So yeah, that's why you're so good at being able to guide people into that space of knowing what their intuition is really telling.
Right.
And
We can talk about our intuition, but we do need to start knowing how to get in touch with it
exactly
a
know
little
how to
bit.
get in touch with it. So whose voice is guiding your wellness decisions? Yours or someone else's? Think on that. Post in the comments if you want. Would love to know. And then, so we've shared a couple of energetic boundaries, reclaiming ourselves. Like, trust myself to know what I need is a really good affirmation that you can just kind of remind yourself on a daily basis, like, trust my intuition. And, when I was starting my business, I learned don't make emotional decisions. you have to be logical. So I switched my brain to this logical side for so many years. And I was just logical, logical, logical. Don't make it an emotional decision. But really, I feel like as long as you're not in a really high state of emotion, like super sad or super angry or anything like that, that little emotion that you're feeling, that is your
guidance.
intuition. And it's not like you're at a huge high state, but more of a stoic kind of emotional balance.
Right.
And that can be your guidance versus
And
always being intellectual.
Yeah, and this is just leading me to that idea of when you have that emotion, knowing where that emotion is coming from. And if that emotion is coming from a place of fear,
Right.
then that is not a good emotion to be listening to.
Agreed.
And if it's coming from a place of love and it feels heart opening and expansive and connected, then that's probably a good emotion to be listening to. Good. A positive emotion to be listening to.
Yeah.
I remember doing this with parenting personally. Just, kiddos, they can be hard. And, I had to start asking myself where my yeses and nos were coming from in the parenting of my kids. And were they coming from a place of fear, like, oh my God, she's never going to get along with anyone. She's never going to be accepted. I've got to train this certain behavior out of her in order for her to be able to get along in society. Or is it just coming from a place of loving and accepting that child for who they are, and then maybe creating a situation for them to be successful.
Exactly. And that is so hard as a parent because we want to stick with the social norms and, put them in a box, so to speak.
I mean, it would be easier, right? We all here, our cookie cutter. And guess what? Then we find out that is not how it works.
Not going to work. No, indeed. And that's why we can guide, as healers, they should be guiding and facilitating versus us asking for validation and waiting for them to make a decision for us.
Right. I mean, I feel like, again, when you're more in your alternative health space, you're looking more at your healers. When you're in your more traditional, you're looking, I don't necessarily call them healers. I don't even think doctors.
It's so symptomatic in that field.
They are following. They are following the rules. They are checking the blocks. I mean, have you been? They literally have a list to go through and check the blocks.
Yeah, I just went to the VA the other day, and it's pretty much like, well, are you depressed? Are you this? Are you that? And then, oh, you're good? Okay, so bye. See you later. I'll listen to your lungs. And that's all fine and good. And you want that clear, conscious, like, okay, my blood pressure's good. This is good. But when it comes to understanding, facilitating our own healing, that's on us.
Right. Well, and I will say, I was severely depressed. And if the doctor had asked me if I was depressed, I would be like, no, I have no reason to be depressed.
Right. We mask it too. Right.
And it wasn't until I actually went to a therapist and they were like, girl.
Yeah, we don't even understand.
You are so depressed. And I was like, what? And they were like, yes, you might want to go back to the doctor and consider some medication. Because you are to the point where you might need a little boost to get through what you're going through.
Yeah, sometimes we don't even realize.
And I had no idea. And I was so dissociated from my body at that time, too. I couldn't have intuitively told you anything because I was completely in survival mode.
But that was good that you had the therapist to guide you and to understand, to know, okay, well, this is what's kind of going on.
And yet I've been to the doctor again and again and again and again, and
because you were dealing with like other health issues.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the foundation of it. Like, okay, so finding the roots of issues is so important. Having those different healers near you and having that team.
That eye.
Exactly. Right. So we were sharing something, about the kids, making sure that we can facilitate for them and encourage them on their path. And we want to make sure that we're receiving too. And that doesn't mean just receiving from others, but also from ourselves. And that is such a huge issue with so many. Like, we don't need help. We don't need that person's help, or I don't need to. I can just keep going. I don't have to stop
if I just do more.
That's just
I'm just not doing enough. Like, the reason I'm not accomplishing my goals, I'm not doing what I want, getting what I want, is because I'm not doing enough. Right. So we go and we figure out, how do I do more? Mm-hmm. I just need to make a list. I just need to write down all the more things I need to do. Mm-hmm. When instead, sometimes it's taking the things off the list.
Right. And it's slowing down.
It's relaxing. It's getting your nervous system to recalibrate and allowing mm-hmm. that space and time for that.
Exactly. Oh, and with the nervous system thing, I just want to throw out there that we're doing, a few friends of mine and I are doing a sleep retreat in September. And it's a day retreat where they're going to do some meditation practices, breathing practices, hypnosis to help you be able to rest effectively, wake up wide-eyed like a warrior, and ensuring that your nervous system is balanced, that you're in that parasympathetic nervous system. Exactly.
Because
sleep.
It is so important. If you are not getting effective sleep, that is when your body is healing itself. Mm-hmm. That is that time where you can rejuvenate, where you can process things. You don't even have to think about them. You can process them in your sleep. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. And yet so many people struggle with just this basic thing. Mm-hmm. Sleep.
And again, staying up all night.
They're staying up.
I'm a night owl.
They're adding stuff onto their list. If I just do more, and they're not taking that time to rest, and mm-hmm. maybe they're not taking that time to relax before they go to bed. Some people are different. Some people can just my husband is
boom, just out. Yeah,
I'm sitting in bed. He comes in, gets in bed, closes his eyes, and falls asleep, and I'm still there
what's going on? Oh yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah,
wow. I have a very specific nighttime routine. I take my nighttime supplements, which help with melatonin production and the neurotransmitters that are needed in order to produce that melatonin and calm down all those voices that you might be hearing. What's mm-hmm. your to-do list? And the amount of vitamins that you also get help with, restless leg syndrome and things like that. So, really noticing those things that are going on in your body really do have to do with what we're putting into our body, what we're eating, what we're watching, what we're mm-hmm. listening to, and taking that relaxing time for sure.
Yeah. So,
and we want to nurture ourselves, nurturing ourselves as a radical act.
Right. And in step one, sleep, I would say.
Yes, sleep for sure.
Starting to make that a priority.
Yeah, and self-care is not selfish. Don't think that you're being selfish. Mom guilt is such a huge thing. And for a long time, I thought oh, I just feel guilty because I'm doing something for myself. Oh, I have to go do something with the kids. But it's so important to take that time and to not feel guilty about it. And it's just recondition yourself.
They always say, put your oxygen mask on first. Because mm-hmm. what is it? Why do they have to say that?
Right.
Because as a mom, you're looking and there's not oxygen, and the first thing you want to do is slap that on your kid and not even think about taking care of yourself. That's mm-hmm. why they have to tell you, put yours on first. Then you're going to be able to breathe, and you can help not only your kid, but probably the other person next to you and everyone else, because you have taken care of yourself first.
Right, exactly.
Be the helper by taking care of yourself first.
Exactly. Yes. And how nurturing ourselves, it models the wellness for the ones that we love too. We're taking care of ourselves and we show them that it's important to us, then our kids and our loved ones are going to feel like, oh, that's a good thing to do. Maybe I should go stretch my body. Maybe I should take my vitamins. Maybe I should eat healthy instead of just go, eating the sad diet.
What are you modeling? What are you? That is what you're teaching your kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you are high stress and high anxiety all the time, suddenly I'm just like, and then people are like taking their kids to the therapist because they're high stress and high anxiety and can't function. And then you realize the parents are high stress, high anxiety, and barely functioning.
Been there.
Oh! Yeah, those kids they're little like bellwethers for ourselves. So if you're finding things going on with your kids, it's sometimes a good time to take that step back.
Yeah,
and assess yourself again too.
A lot of military families are like that because they are living in such a high stress environment. I mean, you know that. Yeah. I know that. We both were in the military and husbands, and so it's like, having that lifestyle, it's like a requirement to be on a high stress level. But
right.
It's really like not.
Praised.
We can take some time.
It's praised. The more you get done, the more you sacrifice.
The more that you're tough.
Isn't that one of the values of the military? Like self-sacrifice.
Yes,
I mean, yeah. Okay. In a time and place. But the reality is we need to stop sacrificing ourselves in order to take care of others. You are valuable.
Absolutely.
You personally are valuable. You're here for a purpose. Mm-hmm. And your purpose is not just to take care of other people.
Right.
Your purpose is to take care of you so that you can then maybe take care of other people, but also not
ensuring that you're on a good path.
Not disregarding yourself.
Yeah, and also having like a spiritual practice. There's a lot of people that are very religious, which is fine, but religion and spirituality, I believe, are totally separate things. So you can have your religion, and that's beautiful. But if you're not spiritual in that aspect, or spiritual to, understanding yourself and letting love, support, and guidance
I feel like that, and this is where we were talking about, like that divine connection. Absolutely. That connection to a bigger thing outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that is a more spiritual feeling, that within you, that deep connection to the collective, to that larger thing. Mm-hmm. Versus almost sometimes religion can have like a disconnection of feeling unworthy, or that you're not, again,
there's
back to that not doing enough, you're not following the rules. Mm-hmm. Which some are good.
I mean, if that's what you're into, if that's what you do, not stick with what you love.
It can help guide.
It can help guide you. Just
especially
don't allow
when
it
you're
to,
not
like you said, separate you from others or the collective, or that we are all together. We're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And, just to kind of close it out. Oh, and with that, we want to make sure that we're nurturing our relationships. Mm-hmm. That's so important to self-care too. I feel like the first couple things that really go out the window when our schedules get packed is self-care and relationships.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I literally added something onto my calendar the other day, and I added one thing on, and I crossed off going to the gym.
See? There you go.
I mean, I know this stuff, and yet the first thing I took off my calendar was my self-care.
Yep, there you go. And that's so common. It's so easy to do.
Because I won't have time to go to the gym.
We would rather reschedule ourselves than somebody else.
And every now and then that's okay.
Right.
But when it becomes a chronic habit, that the first thing you take off your schedule is the self care,
Mhm.
that's when you run.
Right. And put it on your schedule. Block it off. And really try to stay consistent. Stay humble about it and just do it.
Yeah.
But to kind of recap, we're talking about reclaiming your power. Don't wait for validation from others to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Trust in that deep knowing, that intuition. And if
Mhm.
that's hard for you, contact Heather because she's amazing. And that nurturing, receiving, and giving, that's so powerful. We want to be able to do both, not just giving, not just the nurturing, but also the receiving of others too. There was a while where I would even feel like, oh, should I hug, my kid, or, I need to like reach out and actually do this affection. Like I need to create that affection instead of
Mhm.
like, oh, you're in my bubble, get out of my space. Because sometimes I'll be like that. Like if it's a long day, like
Oh,
okay,
do we
now you're
all,
just in my
as
space.
moms,
But
we're touched
instead, we
out,
have
especially
to
when you
embrace
touch
it.
people as a job. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't even
Right,
imagine.
right. So, but yeah, just try to embrace because they're trying to give you their love.
Right.
It's not
So,
about you taking that space for yourself. It's about accepting
mhm.
that. So important.
I had one more epiphany.
Yes.
Um, that I got when I was meeting with someone, and I was just like, she said something about nurturing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a nurturer. I nurture, I take care. It's like what I do. I love taking care of people. I love helping people, yada yada. And she was like, okay, how are you about receiving
Mm-hmm.
nurturing? Oh, well, that's another story. And she's like, well, actually, all that caring for others and doing for others is very much in your masculine. And like actually nurturing in the feminine is receiving that
Mhm.
care, allowing yourself to be cared for. I was like,
Like the yin and the yang, it needs to be
oh,
balanced.
I need to receive. That was like a
Yeah.
huge. That's something I'm working on this year, honestly, because
Yeah.
easier said than done.
I am too. I'm having my affirmations like I am willing to receive the love. I'm also very loving. And in that, space is caring and, forgiving and all that kind of stuff. So have some affirmations. They're very powerful. Um, so where am I still waiting for someone else to validate my healing? We would love to know your answer. Post it in the comments. Where are you waiting for someone to validate your healing? And, just trust in your intuition. Don't make it like a hugely emotional decision. Be in a good space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And our next episode is going to be really breaking into more self care tips, nurturing relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
not
kind of
just
what we're going to be
like
talking
radical
about.
self care,
Yeah, radical self
not
care.
just bubble baths and chocolate. We're talking about lifestyle self care.
Yes, yes. And maybe budgeting for it too, making sure that you can't afford not to take care of yourself.
Oh, your
So
health
that
is
so
your
many
wealth.
people, yeah, are concerned about cost and price and things. And it's not about you giving away your money to somebody else. It's really just about the transfer of money. It's really just the
Mm-hmm.
circulation of it. And then also you healing in that process. So join us next month. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.